And it's because you're willing to look stupid. It's because you're willing to sacrifice your own image and your own ego for growth. That's what's going to separate you, and that's what's going to allow you to become the best version of yourself. What's good, YouTube? This is my official intro video. I just want to go a bit about, over who I am, my story, and what I plan on doing with this channel. I've wanted to start YouTube for a while now, and I've allowed my brain to just negotiate with myself and find ways to not start because I didn't have the perfect plan. I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't, all these things, it were just complete bullshit. And I think a lot of us, we have these goals, we have these things that we know we want to do, but we allow ourselves to find ways out, whether it's out of fear, a fear of perception, a fear of failure, whatever it is. The only way to get over fear is to just do it. It's like, I like to think about it as jumping into a pool, into a freezing cold pool. It's going to be cold, it's going to suck. But the worst thing you can do is just tiptoe your way in there. It's like, you just got to dive into the deep end and just fucking, it's going to suck for like 3 seconds, and then once you're in, it's fine. And that's how you got to treat your goals and the things that you want to do. Because once you start, you realize it's not that bad. It's the fear of starting that's the hard part, getting over that hump. But yeah, I've been working out for about 6 or 7 years now, but it wasn't really until last summer where I really got into self-improvement. I really started to work on myself. I cut out all the vices. I stopped drinking, smoking, all these things, all these surface level pleasures that just don't really fulfill you. I realized that I was kind of just using them as a way to fill this void because I wasn't fulfilled with my life and as with who I was. And once I started really working on myself, I started taking my fitness more seriously. I started waking up early. I started journaling. I started making content, doing all these things to try and better myself. And I've come to find that it is so much more fulfilling than just pretending that you are happy doing the things that give you instant gratification. At least for me, I was never really fulfilled doing those things. And I think a lot of people, they try and put up this mask where they showed that they're so happy doing these things, but it's all a facade. Especially with social media. Last summer, I was working 12-hour landscaping shifts, and then I would come home, hit the gym, and then just go to bed. I literally didn't have time to be on social media for the whole summer, and it made me realize how fake everything is. Everyone's just showing highlights of themselves. No one actually shows the lows. No one actually showcases themselves being vulnerable. It's all about likes and views. And all those things they're just vanity metrics. When I first started making TikToks and Instagram Reels, the only things I really cared about were getting likes and getting views. And when I finally started actually getting views and I got a few viral videos, it made me realize how unfulfilling it is. It means nothing. I would rather make videos like these where I'm being vulnerable and I'm being authentic and I'm just trying to provide as much value as I can. And maybe I'm only inspiring 2 or 3 people to help overcome their problems or to become better. That fulfills me a lot more than just making a video that gets even 1 million views but no one gives a fuck. I don't really care if this video gets any views. I know people probably won't watch it at the start because this is the start, I'm just starting, but I want to have this as a reference point of where I started. A lot of the creators that I look up to, seeing their first videos and how much progress they made and seeing where they came to where they are now, I think that's the coolest shit ever, and it's so inspiring, and I want to do the same. in a few years from now, or however long it takes, when I eventually get where I'm going, I want people to see where I came from and where I started, and be inspired by that, and to maybe take action by seeing my progress. So yeah, that's the plan, and I'm super excited. I know I'm gonna crush it. I know this is gonna be a long journey. I'm not expecting instant results. I don't really care about the results, to be honest. I just want to focus on the daily things that I need to do, putting in the inputs, doing the work, and actually trying my best to provide value and inspire others and invoke change in a positive way in other people. If I can do that, then I can go to bed at night knowing I served my purpose. But yeah, with this channel, my goal is to just document everything. I want to document my thoughts, my fitness, my business, my wins and my losses, my problems that I'm overcoming, the problems I've overcame, and everything in between. And I just want to be as raw and authentic as possible. I don't want to look like I've got it all figured out, and I'm this guy who is just perfect, because that's just bullshit. Everyone knows that. No one's perfect. And with personal development, with self-improvement, you can always become better. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care if you're a multi-billionaire. You can always become better. You can always be more disciplined. You can always be doing more. And that's the beautiful part about it. There's no end goal in life. There's no end goal in personal development. It's a constant pursuit of growth. And that's what I've just come to fall in love with. And what the hell was that? It's a crow. I think when you're in that pursuit of constantly becoming that best version of yourself that you have in your mind, it's the most fulfilling thing in the world, because you have purpose. You have something that you're actually working towards. You're not just using these vices to try and make you fulfilled and fill this void. And that's a path that you do not want to be going down. I think it takes, it took me a long time to really realize that was not the path that I want to be going down. And maybe it's just a lack of immaturity. When you're a teenager, you don't really know any better. You're just trying to be cool and to fit in and all these things. And as you mature, you realize you don't really give a fuck about fitting in. I'd rather do my own thing and look stupid for a while than to just fit in with the crowd and do what everyone else is doing and just be average. That's the thing. So many people are scared to chase their goals and to do the things that they want to do because they're scared of looking stupid, which is stupid in my opinion. And it's something that I struggled with for a very long time. When I first started going to the gym when I was 17 years old, the reason why I put it off for so long was because I was scared of looking like an idiot. I didn't know what I was doing in there. But if I didn't get over that fear, I wouldn't have this physique I have now. And it's the same thing with social media. If I wasn't scared of looking like an idiot, like I am right now, I would never get to the goals. I would never achieve the goals that I have in my mind. I would never get to where I'm going. And it's because you're willing to look stupid. It's because you're willing to sacrifice your own image and your own ego for growth. That's what's going to separate you, and that's what's going to allow you to become the best version of yourself. And at the end of the day, who really gives a fuck what other people think about you? You're going to die eventually. It's really not that deep. You should never ever allow the opinion of someone else to stop you from doing what you want to do, ever. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your best friend. I don't care if it's your parents. Even if they're doing it out of a place of love, they don't always know what's best for you, the people in your life. Only you know what you can be doing. Only you know what is best for you, and It's your responsibility to take action on that, because no one's going to do it for you. When you have these ambitions and you have these goals, the best thing you can do is just work in solitude and just isolate yourself, because that's where you really find yourself. You're not going to find yourself if you're constantly surrounded by other people and you're constantly scrolling on social media and playing video games and doing all these things. You have no time for yourself. You don't even know who you are. And that's the biggest thing with authenticity. The reason why a lot of people can't be their authentic selves is because they don't even know who they are. And that's something that I struggled with for a very long time. It wasn't until I actually isolated myself and decided to really focus on myself and my personal development where I really became clear with who I am and what my goals are. And now it's like I already know I'm going to achieve all my goals. Like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I don't mean that in a cocky way. I just mean that in like, I believe in myself and I have this level of conviction that you cannot shake. And I've kind of always felt that way. I've kind of always known I was going to figure it out. I've always known I was going to become this ideal version of myself who is successful, who is jacked, who is, all these things before I was them. Even when I had no clue what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. But now I know exactly what I am supposed to be doing. I know exactly what it is I need to do on a day-to-day basis. And I think once you find what your purpose is, you don't, like your level of self-belief just skyrockets. You don't really suffer with doubt anymore. I think every man has a purpose in life, but it's your job, it's your responsibility to find what that is, because no one really tells you what you're meant to do in life. Your parents, your teachers, your friends, no one's going to tell you what you have to do. You have to figure it out yourself, and the only way you can do that is by trying shit. It's by working on yourself every day. It's by isolating yourself and working in solitude and finding out who you are. And for me, I want to help other people overcome the problems that I overcame. Because I've overcome a lot of things. I used to be this 16-year-old scrawny kid. I weighed like 100 pounds. I had zero confidence. I wasn't disciplined. I had ambitions. I had big goals, but I was just filling the void of not knowing what I needed to do with vices, with weed, with alcohol, with girls, with partying. And it gets to a certain point where as a man you realize you can't go down that path forever. At some point you realize how unfulfilling it is. I believe as men we are meant to be leaders. We are meant to lead other people. But you can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. And so if you're in a position where you aren't personally developed very much, you don't have the physique, you don't have a mindset, you lack confidence, all these things, the best thing you can do is to just focus on your personal development. Get into the gym, start lifting weights, start waking up earlier, start doing a morning routine, start working on yourself every single day. And at first, the thing is, it's gonna feel slow, but that's the whole point. That's what separates you from other people, because most people aren't willing to delay results. Most people are addicted to instant gratification. That's why not many people succeed. If you can be okay with seeing delayed results, you're gonna achieve your goals. I think the gym is the perfect analogy for that, because when you walk into a gym and you do a really hard training session, you're not gonna see any results the next day. Even for a week, you're not gonna see results. It is a compounding effect of consistency, and it's like that with everything that is actually worth doing. Anything that isn't worth doing, that gives you instant results, that's what's not worth doing, right? It's actually becoming okay with putting off your results and not even worrying with the results, right? Just focusing on the inputs, focusing on the process. I love the quote, "The man who loves to walk will always go further than the man who loves the destination." If you love to just become better and to work on yourself and to continuously pursue that best version of yourself, you will go so much farther than the guy who is just obsessed over the money or the end result or whatever it is. But yeah, like I said, I just want to use this channel to document everything I'm going through, you know, document my growth and my wins, my losses, my failures, my thoughts, everything. And I'm super excited. I have these massive goals that I know I'm going to achieve. It's going to take time, and I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to become the best version of myself so that I can elevate and inspire others to also become the best versions of themselves, and just build this community of like-minded guys who are just so deeply enrooted into self-improvement and becoming better every single day. And if you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you for watching, truly. And I'm going to continue to become better. I'm going to continue to provide as much value as I can so that I can help other people also become better. Yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video.